No wonder the continent is not growing the way it should. See a lot of shenanigans in all these African countries. You know, in one country, one African country, they would tell you that, oh, it cannot happen in my country. Oh, this and that. Like in the case of Nigeria. Oh, there are some things that are happening in some other African countries. We cannot tolerate it. But a lot of things are happening. A lot of bad things happening even in Nigeria that is been lingering for a very long time. And you begin to ask that, why are we still at this stage? Why are we still condoning this kind of a thing? Whatever is happening in Nigeria might not be what is happening in other African countries. It's not going to be the same, but at the end of the day, in all form of shape, they are all bad. So what is happening in Togo or what is happening in Ghana might not be what is happening in Nigeria, but at the end of the day, things are just going south. Yeah, this is news reaching us now that in Togo, uh, they adopt new constitution parliament to select president, meaning the citizens will not have a power to select the president. It's only the constitution, only the lawmakers are allowed to select their or vote the president. And from the filler we are getting, the president that is there now, the family has been there for how many years, whether 50 something years. And some people say that cannot happen in Nigeria, but what of the corruption that is going on here? How have we been able to tackle it? Meanwhile, it's growing and it's becoming a culture. Yes, moving the country from a presidential to a parliamentary system and giving parliament the power to elect the president of the small West African country. The president will be chosen without debate by lawmakers for a single 6-year term and not by the public, according to the new text. The vote comes less than a month before the next legislative elections in Togo, but it is not yet known when the change, which was approved with 89 votes in favor, 1 against, and 1 abstention, will come into force. So it's as good as been passed. If 89 are accepting it and only one person and one person is not available. Currently, the president can serve a maximum of 2 5-year terms. To change the constitution proposed by a group of lawmakers, mostly from the Union for the Republic ruling party, was adopted almost unanimously. All of them just say, now so it go be. Now so we want am. The country's opposition, which boycotted the last legislative elections in 2018 and denounced irregularities in the electoral census, is poorly represented in the National Assembly. The new constitution also introduces the position of President of the Council of Ministers with full authority and power to manage the affairs of the government and to be held accountable accordingly. The President of the Council of Ministers is the leader of the party or the leader of the majority coalition of parties following the legislative elections. The position will be held for a 6-year term. According to the text, the head of state is practically divested of its power in favor of the president of the council of ministers, who becomes the person who represents the Togolese Republic abroad and who effectively leads the country in its day-to-day management, said Tuchi Chalem, chairman of the National Assembly's Committee on Constitutional Laws, Legislation and General Administration. The new text will mark Togo's entry into its 5th republic, with the last major constitutional change dating back to 1992. It comes less than a month before the next legislative elections, due to be held on April 20th, at the same time as regional elections, in which the opposition has announced its participation. In 2019, members of parliament revised the constitution to limit presidential terms to 2, but it did not apply retrospectively, leaving President Faro Gnassingbé free to stand for the next 2 elections. Gnassingbé, in power since 2005, succeeded his father, General Gnassingbé Eyademe, who seized power in a coup more than 50 years ago. So we are talking about a 50 something years, and you say, oh, it is not possible, we cannot tolerate that. see our own politicians here in Nigeria that are working freely. Meanwhile, if you steal a penny or small the denomination of the money in our own currency, now they will judge your case. Bobrisky is a typical example of that. Can you just imagine such a thing? You know what cannot happen does not exist in Africa. Hey, that is just the way it is. It's so unfortunate and very, very, very ridiculous. We have a wickedness in high places. In even all those other countries that you might be admiring, they have their way of doing it. It's just that those ones they have a subtle way of trying not to look bad, but when you look at it thoroughly, you will not know that things negative things are really going on, that's so conspicuous. But our own in Africa, we do it with all manner of responsibility, beautiful nonsense. We chest it out. Nothing they happen, nothing they shell, heaven no go fall, all those kind of stuff. So guys, let's know what you think. Let's have your take in the comment section. Thank you.